But the first one that I want to just cover briefly is the green pharmacy. And I think that's a great one to cover. First off, it's an older book, so it's pretty easy to get used for a very affordable price. If you're just looking for an easy to access book. I think this book kind of operates similar to a lot of online forums. I'm in lots of herb groups where people are like, what's good for this and what's good for this, which as an extreme like herb geek and botanist, like my answer is usually it depends. There's not a lot of like fast answers, but this is a great book for sort of that fast mind of our modern society. It gives just lots of like little fast information and also a lot of folklore too. So one of my pet peeves is people speaking in absolutes on herbal forums, which to me usually means I'm going to question them more because there isn't a lot of absolutes. In this book, James Duke will be like, well, I once met someone who used this, or I once met someone who used this. So there's a lot of that, but it doesn't give these absolutes. It's really like, this is a folkloric remedy that worked for this person, and here's also science. So it gives a little bit of all of that. Jim Duke heavily influenced me into herbalism when I was getting my botany degree, 20-something years ago, and was hooked on ethnobotany. He was my professor's good friend, and he came and he was singing songs about plants, and I was hooked. I was in love with him because he's very much like folk herbalist, but also an ethnobotanist, and was an economic botanist for the USDA for years. And it's just an amazing human that holds this balance of science as well as folklore, and was a huge inspiration for me. He passed away this past year, but his memory lives on, and this is just a great book as that quick reference. To me, it lacks that like depth that I crave, but it's nice if it's like, oh, I know someone who has a cold sore. Let me see if there's something in there. Or, oh, bursitis. And you can kind of look up, and there's a variety of home remedies or some easy herbal remedies to come into, which is great. So I just think it's a good book to keep on everyone's shelf as a quick reference and as just some like folklore as well. I wanted to compare that to also what I consider like a beginner book, but people who are really craving a lot of depth, is Body into Balance, Maria Noel Groves' book. This book, this book, I was thinking like pros and cons. Like, I love this book. I can't really find many things that I don't like about it. First of all, it just has just beautiful images, both photos and drawings. So it has this like gorgeous like coffee table beauty to it, yet it's also so informative. It covers and she's a clinical herbalist, a registered herbalist with the American Herb Guild, and it's just very much a very technical herbalist, but this is a very accessible book. It goes through all the anatomical sections and physiology aspects, so you get a little bit of that connection, which is really important with herbalism. It's not this herb is good for this, it's how does that work in the system. So it gives sections on that, as well as small materia medicas for different plants. You can connect with them in that way, and also has really great, similar to like things that Lori was mentioning in that book, it has lots of charts, really accessible charts, like a dosage chart that gives like different age people and the dosage that you would give of various things, as well as herb doses of various like teas, tinctures, vinegars, cordials. So it kind of breaks down your different dosages of your different remedy. Had another great, and there's so many great charts. And your extraction method, because that's another thing that I see people not always considering, is something might be water soluble, but it's not alcohol soluble. So she gives breakdowns of sort of your solubility aspect and the pros and cons of those different formulas, why you might use them. So those are all really helpful and really takes it the next level to learning to be an herbalist without it being overwhelmed. It's still very much like layman's terms, but someone who's really diving into their curiosity aspect of herbalism.
So would you say that the Green Pharmacy book is more like brain, cerebral, hit your brain, and this one more hits your body? It has body in the title now.
No, I would say the Green Pharmacy it's like very much a quick reference. Like it
Okay.
Yeah, like you can mostly it does have sort of some materia medica aspects, but mostly it's like if you've got an ailment you're curious about, it's a great one to be like, okay, like I just opened to scabies. If you're like, oh, what are some options for scabies? And then you could look it up and it'll give both herbal remedies as well as various science. You might get some little factoids, but not nearly as technical. Even though Jim Duke has a lot of that back, but it's very quick reference. So I would say a quick reference for that sort of internet mind, whereas Maria's book is very much more, I would say, more cerebral, but very accessible.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
really in digestible chunks, which I love. Let me think what else I wanted to say about her book. Yeah, it's just way more in depth. I kind of think of it as almost like it's a little bit more of like herb school concentrated into a book a little bit. She also there's recipes throughout the book according to the body system, but then in the back she just goes through like herbal vinegar, herbal cordial. So instead of it being here's a set recipe, it just kind of gives your basic foundation. This is what you do for a vinegar. This is what you do for a tincture. So it just gives a variety of, I find to be very accessible options to dive into.